information is power, and we like to have a bit of power, don't we? And now we have that power. Now that we know the choices that the existing 8 franchisees have made as far as IPL 2022 and this next auction cycle is concerned, we now know the players that they have retained for the next auction cycle, of course. And it's good to have that power now and to enjoy and talk much about that power. I have Abhishek Mukherjee joining me all the way from Kolkata. Hello, sir. Good
Hello.
afternoon to you. How did you feel about the choices made last night without referring to particular incidents, but largely on the basis of what you expected and what you saw?
Mixed. I see. There are some things I saw some out. Fans of some franchises were really angry, but uh, we must keep in mind that all these retentions are mutual decisions.
Yeah,
So if a franchisee
yeah,
did not retain someone, it was a decision taken by the franchisee as well as the player.
yeah.
But as we saw, the anger was directed mostly at the franchisees only. I think that is a bit unfair.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you said this. I think it was in a WhatsApp group that franchisee cricket is ruthless, and that's about it. That's the right term to put it because it's not like it's taking place over the course of the whole year. It's just for the sake of those 2 months, and you would want. And the choices for those 2 months aren't the same as, say, the choices that international teams make for sort of a regular platform where teams play consistently, bilateral series, and all of that. This might be just for 2 months for particular games and to fill in those very particular spots in the 11. But let's talk about how each of the teams have fared so far. And I would ask our producer now to push the graphic दिखा दो भाई क्या कल हुआ है और कौन कौन से खिलाड़ी किन किन teams ने retain किए. Here we have them. IPL
Yep.
2022 player retentions. The players retained by all the teams. There were some very interesting choices. So for CSK, Ravindra Jadeja, MS Dhoni, Ruturaj Gaikwad, Moin Ali. For Delhi Capitals, Rishabh Pant, Akshar Patel, Prithvi Shaw, and Rick Norkia. And no Rabada. We talked about this before. No Shreyas Iyer. For KKR, the third franchisee with 4 players retained: Andre Russell, Varun Chakravarti, Venkatesh Iyer, Sunil Narayan. Yet another couple of maybe unexpected calls. Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, Surya Kumar Yadav, and Karen Pollard. And these are the 4 teams that retained all 4 players. Punjab Kings, the only team with 2 retained players, Mayank Agarwal and Arshdeep Singh. What did you have to say about Punjab? I mean, they had such a vast talent pool to choose from.
They always did. They always have.
Yeah, yeah, but
Punjab always
maybe
have
someone
an
like
excellent talent pool. They made they
yeah,
picked some excellent cricketers, and the cricketers somehow uh, did not live up to expectations while playing for Punjab. Why? I don't know. But on
yeah. But
paper,
does that mean
every time Punjab has fielded an 11, they seemed a
yeah?
very strong side on paper.
Yeah, no doubts. And but does that mean they are going into that complete shape shifting mode where they do not want, even though they have good players, they do not want them at all. They want to bring a new set of players and keep that purse heavy ahead of the next auction.
Yes,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Uh, yeah, it does. And, as far as keeping purses heavy, we have 2 other franchisees that have taken just 3 players and kept that heavy. Sanju Samson, Joss Butler, Yashasvi Jaiswal for our Sun Royals. 3 very nice choices as far as the batting order is concerned. None of the bowlers, no Jofra Archer, no Ben Stokes there. Virat Kohli, Glenn Maxwell, and Mohammad Siraj. Also, 3 very good choices, but that means RCB have spent more than Rajasthan and Sunrisers in keeping the 3 players intact. They have just 57 crore left in the purse. And finally, Sunrisers Hyderabad, Kane Williamson, Abdul Samad, and Umran Malik, keeping emphasis on keeping a captain position secured going into the next IPL is what the message was from the Sunrisers Hyderabad franchisee. Let's start with them, Abhishek. Let's start with Sunrisers. Had
Yeah.
a season to forget, which I don't think their fans will be able to forget. But these are the 3 players that they've kept. And as far as Abdul Samad and Umran Malik are concerned, we of course know that they're trying to build the team around these young players. They've had that image in the last couple of seasons. keeping these young players in line. And but Kane Williamson as the captain and no Rashid Khan. That was the big talk. Why won't you keep Rashid Khan in there? Why wouldn't he be your first choice? Did that call make sense?
See, there are some rumors that Rashid may be picked up by Lucknow. I don't know what to make
Yeah,
of these rumors. These are still rumors. I mean, based on in what sites are saying, inside sources. I don't know how
yeah,
much to trust these, but the thing is, it's always a mutual decision. And
yeah,
Sunrisers had tried. The Sunrisers bowling had revolved around the strategy
yeah,
of Indian seam bowlers and Rashid Khan. And the Rashid Khan and one all rounder who may or may not be overseas. It might have been Holder, it might have been Nabi, but it might have been a split between the likes of Abhishek Sharma and a few others. So that
yeah,
was the sunrise. That has been the Sunrisers bowling strategy. Now
yeah,
with no Rashid and their only retention specialist bowler being an out and out fast bowler, they are probably deviating from that strategy. We may see
yeah,
Sunrisers had a packed top order full of overseas batters. Now we may
yeah,
see Sunrisers going in with overseas bowlers, basically flip the strategy. We may see that. I'm not saying they are doing that, but
yeah,
we may see them doing that. Umran Malik, a fantastic choice. I mean, if I mean, no franchisee should let Umran Malik go.
yeah,
Incredible talent, and I think they have. If you can retain him for that cheap, you should retain him. I
yeah.
think that's a fantastic choice.
Yeah, but the call regarding not keeping too many overseas batters in that top order also makes sense now, given the fact that they have gone for
It's a
Kane
departure
Williamson as a
from their
captain.
existing strategy.
Yeah, yeah, and they've also gone for. I think if we are considering this theory, they've also gone for Kane Williamson as a captain rather than a batter first, because they didn't go for someone like a Jason Roy, who perhaps could have been a better choice in
But
this
that's okay.
format.
I mean, I am not a firm believer in you requiring to have a iconic figure as a captain. Look at Delhi. Delhi just put in Shreya Iyer.
Yeah,
Shreyash was not available. They just put in Rishabh Pant, and they did a fantastic job.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you don't necessarily need a captain figure per se. If you have an excellent team, if a proper strategy and vision is in place, and if the
yeah,
strategy is carried out well, then you don't need a specific captain figure. All you
yeah,
need to do is someone who has a guaranteed place in the side.
yeah. Yeah,
There's a
and
reverse
keeping
to
up
this
with
theory.
that.
There's a reverse to this
Yeah,
theory as well. We'll discuss that while discussing Chennai,
yeah,
who have
yeah,
probably, but Chennai's case, as we know, is more of an exception.
they've won the
It will
IPL.
be very
They're the
difficult to
defending
find a
champions.
parallel to this. It will be very
Yeah,
difficult to find a parallel to this.
yeah. I think they're just one side of the rail running straight, and there's just no one else to compartmentalize or sort of
Yeah,
companion,
essentially, see
be their companion in
Rohit
this
Sharma
journey.
was identified as captain mid-season. He was basically a
Yeah,
replacement captain appointed halfway through a season. And look where
yeah,
he has, look where he is in the history of IPL, where he stands in the history of IPL. So
yeah.
yeah, I
In the
mean,
history of franchisee cricket, really,
if you have a
being a big player.
solid team, if you have a solid support system, a captains grow over time. That's okay. That has happened. Even Dhoni was appointed almost out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but let's come on to that theory that we have taken right now into considerations of captains, not a captain figure not being required by any team. And let's bring in the team that you just talked about, Delhi Capitals, going for four retentions, and well, didn't have that final position last season, but they would want to make up for that. And interesting choices there: Rishabh Pant, Aksar Patel, and Prithvi Shaw are the three Indian players they've retained, and Anrik Nortje is
I
their
think they would have.
fourth pick.
Uh, I think they would have gone for Rabada over Aksar had Rabada been an Indian. That was the only thing that uh,
Yeah,
basically they couldn't afford. They didn't want two overseas retainers.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I
and
think
it's good to bring.
Prithvi
And
Shaw. I'm not sure why he is not part of the Indian international T20 setup, given his outstanding strike rate. See, I
yeah,
am a firm. The complaint is he gets out too soon. That is the usual complaint. But in T20 cricket, even if you have six batters, all your batter needs to do is last 20 balls. If you have eight
yeah,
people who can slog, all you need to do is last 15 balls. Why do you need someone who
true.
lasts more than that? All you need to do is need is for them to score quickly. And Shaw has done exactly that. And I'm happy that Delhi has retained him for that instead of Dhawan.
Yeah, yeah. There were talks
I,
about why not
I
Shikhar
think
Dhawan, who
that is a
scored
wonderful
more,
thing.
who scored
I
more,
think that is
but
a wonderful thing. Delhi planned this keeping to IPL 2022, 23, 24 in mind when Dhawan's batting style by when Dhawan's batting style will become outdated and Shaw's will be celebrated much more.
yeah, yeah, we certainly hope that is the case. And no Kagiso Rabada, but also no Shreyas Iyer in that four, in those four that they've retained. And as we just said, they're not going with that captaincy model. They've seen that it has worked with Rishabh Pant as well. It was just a matter of two bad games, and not just two complete bad games, just a last few minutes, or probably you'll call 1 over or so, where Delhi lost those games.
That's okay. A lot. I mean, see, it was not. I mean, Dhoni hit one of those shots. Actually, Karan got a wicket of the first ball of that over. Dhoni hit one of the fours in air. There was a what do you call it? French cut that went took the bottom edge and went past the wicket keeper. I mean, one of them could
Yeah,
have been a wicket on another day.
on another day. Yeah, yeah, and he bowled really well up to that point on the day.
Yeah,
Tom Curran had been
it
a
was okay. I
good
mean, it
bowler for
is
them.
very unfair to judge a captain based on one decision, especially if they have done well throughout a season.
Yeah. Well, the bells have rung, Abhishek Da, and I think he is he has gone to attend one of those. But whilst he does that, I would like to talk about another team before he joins us. Let's bring in Chennai Super Kings now, talking about them from the captain retaining theory. Let's see the four players that they've retained. Ravindra Jadeja is the first pick, not MS Dhoni, which of course goes with the fact that Jadeja has been a very instrumental player for Chennai over the years, and he's been given that due importance going into the next auction cycle. MS Dhoni is their player as far as the second pick is concerned. Moin Ali, rewarded for that brilliant season with Chennai, and a season to remember really for him and Chennai. And it has changed his perception as a batter in the England lineup as well. We saw that in the World Cup. And then Ruturaj Gaikwad. They're banking on him for the next auction cycle as well. Abhishek Dal, let's talk about Chennai now. Going in with the captain once again, going in with MS Dhoni. Maybe a couple of seasons more. You never know with him.
Yeah,
The last dance is not
I'm
upon us yet.
slightly surprised at them retaining Dhoni. I'll tell you
Yeah,
why. It would have been probably been a wiser thing to buy Dhoni from the auction because it
yeah,
is very unlikely that another side would have invested 3 years in Dhoni.
yeah. Maybe
I
one
mean,
of the other two, but then maybe one of the other two franchisees could have, in terms of bringing
yeah,
an
yeah.
iconic player.
Would they
Yeah.
have invested in Dhoni with 3 years and keeping 3 years in mind?
Maybe if it's
Three
just not three
years.
years, who knows, one and a half, 1, 2 seasons, and you have an iconic player coming in
So
to bring in all those
essentially,
fans for the beginning.
would they not have gone for some of the other released players? Or would Dhoni
Who
have been
knows?
one of the
Who knows?
six cricketers selected? I mean, had they calculated this, they would probably have thought Dhoni could have been bought back from the auctions.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't know. Jadeja, of course, Jadeja was an obvious pick. Moin Ali
yeah,
was an obvious pick. Ruturaj Gaikwad is a very brave pick. I mean, I won't say brave. It's a very uh, calculated, logical pick ahead, keeping 3 years in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, they've always banked on openers who sort of play the anchor role. They've had those openers in their history all along. Haven't had flamboyant openers who just go all out in the power play in terms of
I think
that
Chennai.
approach.
I don't know what IPL will do this time. The organizing committee, whether they will go back to neutral venues. But
Mhm.
understand this: Chennai strategy has been built around Chepak,
Yeah,
so they would want an opener who would capitalize on Chepak tracks.
yeah,
Yeah, so I think they would want. I mean, they have identified Ruturaj as someone. Of course, I'm saying this, assuming that matches will be home and away again, which is the way I personally like. I don't like the concept of neutral venues.
yeah,
See, Kashi Vishwanath, Chennai Super Kings, I think he's CEO or something. He once said that Chennai Super Kings looks at every season as home and away. There is a 7 match home leg and a 7 match
yeah,
away leg. And they want to
yeah,
win 5 or 6 out of 7 home matches.
yeah,
So that is how Chennai builds their strategy. I think he said this in 2017 or something.
yeah.
So
Just before the comeback.
yeah, so essentially Jadeja, Moin, both of whom will bat in the middle order and bowl 8 overs, probably in the middle overs, is probably based on that strategy. And I think they back Ruturaj to do well on the chip up track.
Yeah, yeah, might as well. Well, that is our cue to go into team number four that we need to talk about right now. And let's talk about the 5 time champions, another team that has made some of the exciting calls, some of the surprising calls for many of their fans as well. The 4 players retained by Mumbai Indians for the next auction cycle: Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, Surya Kumar Yadav, the 3 Indian players, and of course, Kieron Pollard is their fourth pick. Abhishek, da no Ishan Kishan, and I know that this is the first point that you would want to talk about as far as Mumbai Indians is concerned, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought they would retain two out of Ishan, Surya, and Pollard.
And they've
It
done
is,
that.
and between Ishan and Surya, I would probably have backed Ishan more because he can keep wickets. That will save them a slot.
Yeah,
They do
that's the
not.
big point
If
because they haven't retained Quinton de Kock as well, so that
No, no,
position isn't
but they
finalized yet.
will pick another wicket keeper. But now they have to
They
play.
will, yeah,
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 they will probably go all out after Ishan from the at the auction. They'll invest a
yeah,
lot. They want
and
that.
it's also
See, one thing about Mumbai is we know they don't like tampering with their 11 a lot. So if they pick a wicket keeper, they would be that wicket. That person is likely to play all matches for them in the league. Ishan
yeah,
gave them an added wicket keeping option. Now they have let both of them go. So they will now
yeah.
need two wicket keepers.
And it was a
One of
secure
whom
option
will
as
be
well. I mean, it was a secure option since he was playing for them. He knew the
yes,
method, and we
which was why
heard,
I thought Ishan was likelier to be retained than Surya, but I'm sure they probably again, as I say, that it is a mutual decision between the player
yeah,
and
yeah.
probably Ishan is eyeing a better offer somewhere else during at the auction.
Who
Probably
knows?
it's
Maybe
all.
the two new
These are all
franchisees. Maybe the two
speculations.
new franchisees have
Yeah.
approached him. Who knows? Yeah,
See, one thing is, while when we discuss ruthlessness of franchisee cricket, we only say franchisees are ruthless. Players are as
yeah,
ruthless.
yeah,
Why would players stay back if they can sense a better offer anywhere or even at the same team?
yeah.
I mean, they.
We're not quite there yet as far as club loyalties are concerned in this sport. We're not quite there yet. It's just about those 2 months. I mean, players would want good offers. It's obviously about the money. They want some sort of financial security as well in those 2 months. They
Yeah,
want to grow in terms of brands as well. So it's only fair and square if they
their
go out for a
career is
better
over
wage.
at 40.
Some even before 40. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why not make as much
yeah,
money as possible?
yeah. It's fair. Uh, but on those grounds, no Hardik Pandya, no Krunal Pandya, and Jasprit
Hardik and
Bumrah was
Krunal
the choice that
were
they've gone
not.
with.
I mean, if they made a list of these are the players we want to retain, Hardik and Krunal would not have featured in the top five. Had these players rejected, they might have retained Hardik or Krunal or both. But they
Yeah,
would not have made it to the top five. Hardik, if his bowling is uncertain, he would not have made it. Krunal actually
but yeah,
has a
that's the case. If had he bowled, would if he would have been fit to bowl, that would have been a different case, right? Because
yeah, that would
we
have
don't
been it.
have that sort of a luxury in the Indian
Krunal has
circuit.
a deceptively good record in the IPL. So they are letting him go as well. So essentially, Mumbai is one of the reasons behind Mumbai's success was their three all-rounders, the Pandya brothers and Pollard. Now they have
Yeah,
let two of them go. Mind you, they may buy them back, but I don't see them do that. Given how Mumbai operates, they will identify new talents and focus on them.
yeah.
They are
Yeah,
likely
it's
to
about
do that.
time it's about time they redo that old saying, because with these players, with quite a few of these players, they've had a run, and they might be
Yeah.
looking for something new, a challenge maybe. Mumbai is the sort of franchise you think may be looking for a new challenge in terms of bringing more young players in, identifying them from the Indian circuit, especially. But yeah, let's move on to another franchisee for whom this will be a challenge in terms of a season. We've talked about them a little bit in the beginning, but let's talk about them again. Punjab Kings, just two players retained. The franchisee with the least number
Whatever
of
they tried out
retentions.
didn't work. So why why not change everything altogether? I would
Yeah,
have loved to see them retain Bishnoi, but that was it.
yeah. Yeah, but it was interesting what Anil Kumble said, that they wanted to retain KL Rahul as well, and it was the choice of the player which they duly respected, and that is why they went without Kane. And
I don't know. I'm
maybe the
really happy to see the end of KL Rahul, the Punjab captain. He didn't look like KL Rahul while leading and opening batting for
yeah,
Punjab.
yeah, there were bits here and there, some bits, some innings
I don't
where we
know whether
saw that
he this was deliberate or something. He backed himself
he
to
did
that
say that. He
until the
did say
15th.
that in during one of those games, after one of those games during IPL 2021, that this is the sort of approach I believe the team requires. And
In the
he did say
same
that he
tournament,
did not
he
like
took
the
down
approach.
Chen. He just took down Chennai
That was the final
single-handedly.
game. That
Yeah,
was
I
a
mean
game
that
with
is
no
what KL
consequences for
Rahul is
both the teams.
capable of.
Yeah,
When Rahul plays, there is no bowling attack that can contain him, especially in this format. No bowling attack.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he would, and for someone like him, why would he keep nudging the ball around, scoring at a strike rate of 125, 130 until the 15th or
I,
15th over? I don't know. He can destroy any bowling attack.
yeah, he can. He most
He's one of
definitely
the
can.
best in the world in this format.
Yeah. Lucknow is eyeing him, by the way, as a captain.
Anyone
Would
should.
you want him?
I,
Would you
I, I
want
won't be
him as a
surprised
captain? But then
if
again, that's the question. Would you want him as a captain in Lucknow?
I would want him to bat the in the way he can. He's capable of.
Hmm. Well, we'll see how that goes, how the reports come true, that is. But yes, shifting on to another franchisee now. Time to talk about another team who would want to prove a point. And Avishikta would want to prove a point as far as their retentions are concerned. He's very excited about this franchisee every time. Rajasthan Royals picking three batters in the retention. Of course, the keeper and the captain has been retained. Sanju Samson has been their first pick.
Two keep.
Josh Butler right there as far as the picks are concerned, and Yashasvi Jaiswal. Seems like they've booked those top three spots, and now they'll be looking at, okay, team beyond number three. How do we look at that? Because these are the players you do think, do hope they would go in their playing 11, the first choice playing 11 with.
See, Rajasthan. Until this year, Rajasthan had a very curious strategy. picked a solid top order, and they picked Ben Stokes, who was part of the. But when Ben Stokes didn't show up, they decided to fill that gap with some batters who could bowl. They were not like say Rian Parag, Mahipal Lomror. They were not outstanding. They did a decent job, but they were more of fillers. And then there was Chris Morris. You get the basic idea. And they had an army of left arm seamers.
Yeah,
So every time Rajasthan fielded a side, you could see at least two left arm seamers,
yeah.
sometimes three.
Would you
So
have wanted to see one of those seamers in the retention list?
Mustafizur Rahman,
Any of those?
anytime.
Yeah.
Ah,
They could have gone with a
uh,
bowler. I think even if they wanted to retain three players, could they have gone with a bowler there?
they could have, but I think again, they have released Jafra, so they are probably redoing because their bowling attack was sort of one dimensional. It was full of wrist spinners and left arm seamers with Archer and Morris. And Archer, there was no Archer basically. So it was Morris, left arm seamers, and wrist spinners. So that
Yeah.
made them a very monotonous bowling attack. I think
It
they
did.
are looking to
Yeah.
rejig their strategy, and given how Rajasthan works, they will find out cricketers out of nowhere. That is
Yeah.
something they are good at. They are traditionally good at. 12 years ago,
Yeah.
they picked Kamran Khan. Then they picked Praveen Tambe. And then they keep picking cricketers out of the domestic circuit. They picked Sakaria, and who is actually Unadkat's junior in the state side. And then
Yeah.
they gave him priority over Sakaria. Sakaria played for India. So all that happened.
Yep. Yep. Seems like they would want a whole rebuild in that sense. But it's also good to see that they have entrusted Sanju Samson with that responsibility yet again. Kumar Sangakkara mentioning that point that he's grown more acclimatized to that responsibility, and midway
Again,
through the
another
season, you could see
example
that.
of the fact that you don't need a captain sort of figure, uh, an iconic captain figure. They
But they've
just
filled in three
appointed.
spots with him. They
Yeah,
filled
yeah.
in three spots with him: a batter, a keeper, a captain. It's like nice bit of package there. So yeah,
They will want what I felt they missed was a senior Indian cricketer.
yeah. We were talking
So
about
I
this
think
midway through the IPL season as well.
yeah.
You wanted probably a senior
So
Indian
essentially,
cricketer part of that squad.
Unadkat is a senior, but Unadkat is giant in domestic Indian domestic cricket, both
Yeah,
as player and as captain. He basically revolutionized the Saurashtra team, took them to two consecutive Ranji finals. He did wonders for the Saurashtra side. The Saurashtra cricketers speak very highly of him, but he is not assured of a spot in Rajasthan Royals. So that leaves with no one, no senior Indian cricketers in the 11, and that
yeah,
is something they would want to address.
yep,
Because ultimately
yep,
you have to it's an Indian based site. Every IPL side is an Indian cricketer based site.
yeah. Another team that hasn't retained a senior Indian cricketer but has retained some exciting choices is KKR. Four player retentions for them. Starting out with Andre Russell, that's been their first pick. And yes, the second pick has been Venkatesh Iyer. No, Shubman Gill, of course. Varun Chakravarti
That's
is right there. They would want to retain him, their most successful bowler in the last couple of seasons. And Sunil Narayan as the fourth pick. So two overseas and two Indian players in their
they have
retention
the
list.
Russell and Narayan are KKR players essentially. Russell was
Yeah,
being wasted at Delhi, I think, for
yeah,
a season or two, and then KKR got him. KKR made Russell. What do you say, J Russ? And
yeah,
Narayan again was picked out of nowhere. I mean, Narayan became Narayan at KKR. And last season, They were not the Russell and Narayan we know, but they were still better than most cricketers. Russell demolished Chennai in one of the matches, and then Russell took 5 wickets in once, and Narayan
Yeah,
finished a couple of matches, and Narayan looked more. I mean, Narayan actually had better figures than most spinners. We are often concerned that Narayan is not the Narayan of 2012, 13, 14, 15, but he is still better than most bowlers in the tournament, in the world.
yeah,
Even
yeah,
even while not being at his best, he's still better than many.
yeah,
The other options, Varun Chakravarti, this is almost one of the fairy tale crickets of Indian cricket, fairy tale stories of Indian cricket. I really liked how he rose from. I mean, he shattered the norm of having to play club and then for his state and then take break by break go towards the Indian. No, he just TNPL, IPL, India,
yeah. World
and he was
Cup,
listed in
World
and
Cup. Yeah,
the World Cup. I mean,
yeah.
so
But it was a beautiful tale. On that count, though, there is also the question if
it was not a great World
KKR.
Cup for him, but I mean, the chances were obviously too limited.
Yeah, yeah. And in a tournament like that, you wouldn't want to blame a certain player with the class and caliber that he has shown often, pretty often. The team didn't had a good tournament. That can be said as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
And he
but
bowled
but
well
let's
almost every match. It was not just an average, even not just his aggregate was good. His worst performances were also pretty decent in the IPL.
yeah. I mean, even the conditions we can bring all those discussions back again, but the conditions were just too
Conditions will be
different
the
for the team
same.
batting first and the second.
KKR
Yeah,
KKR has uh, it's in the mid 2010s. KKR's strategy has revolved around spinners when they were playing Narayan and Shakib and Hogg, and then Hogg
yeah,
was replaced by Kuldeep. So
yeah,
so the KKR strategy revolved around three spinners, probably because they have an enormous home ground, so they can play 7 matches there. And I think
yeah,
they may again stick to three spinners. They have already retained two spinners, as you can see. So they
yeah,
may just add another to the mix and make it three spinners on a huge Eden Gardens.
yeah,
So this is a tried and tested methods that has helped them do well. They may want to return to that.
yeah.
Venkatesh Iyer
Let's
over Shubman Gill. I think it's a smart move. He'll give you 4 overs. That is
yeah.
that
Yeah,
is a deal
and
killer.
you also see the kind of words that have been used by the current Indian T20 captain. You see him in the picture for the next T20 World Cup, so you would want him in your picture as well, because
Yes.
that's really beneficial. Right then, let's jump on to the last team now, shall we? The team that, of course, has a lot of talk around them every time. Royal Challengers Bangalore, three players they have retained going into the next auction cycle. Virat Kohli, of course, that tailwind continue. He would want to play. He said he wanted to play with this franchise till his last IPL day, and he'll get that opportunity. Glenn Maxwell had a brilliant season. If someone was there right up above Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers in terms of batting, it was Glenn Maxwell, and he of course gave them crucial overs as well. And Mohammad Siraj, that's a nice pick. He has been good in that first half. I remember he had what some 55% of his balls bowled in that India leg were dot balls. I mean, that's just insane given the fact that this is T20 format we are talking about. And he's been really revolutionary over the last couple of years, finding his way from RCB to the India mix.
Siraj of a year ago is unrecognizable now.
Yeah,
I mean, a year ago, Siraj was just another bowler for the Hyderabad state team and Royal Challengers Bangalore. He was a very talented fast bowler who could play for India someday, ready to play for India. That was what we knew.
yeah.
Now people complain every time Siraj doesn't make it to the 11, to the Indian
Yeah,
11.
yeah, and they
So
kind of
that
compare him with the stalwarts of the Indian pace attack. Why are they playing? Why not Siraj? That's the sort
yeah,
of repo he's built. Yeah,
it's an incredible journey. I think I would have loved to see Harshal Patel and Chahal being retained. But as I say, we have to keep
Yeah,
in mind that retentions are mutual decisions. I won't be surprised if the purple cap winner wants, backs himself to get a better deal,
of
or
course.
Chahal, of course.
Yeah, yeah. That's how journeys in franchisee cricket end as of now, given this whole thing. We heard a couple of owners yesterday talking about how it's sort of unfair that they build teams around these players and then they have to lose them. There's just four choices. But on that, there's a very interesting question we can end this sort of whole discussion with. Do you see the word auction in existence as far as IPL story is concerned going forward? I tweeted this yesterday, and I think there are a few people on not just social media handles, but as far as the cricket fans are concerned, who would want to be in sync with the larger financial sports market, player financial sports market, as far as leagues are concerned. Do you think the word transfers is more pertinent for
But these
IPL
are not
going
transfers;
forward?
these are actual auctions. Actual
Yeah,
auctions
but
with an
that's what
auctioneer,
that's
with a physical
yeah.
human auctioneer using a hammer. I mean,
But that's why I say the process. Do you think
yeah,
rather than
I don't like the
auction,
process. It
you can
was
go
a
with
novelty the
transfers?
first time
Yeah,
in 2008.
yeah,
Since then, I like watching when it happens, but not the actual concept of being of franchises bidding over human beings. I don't like that concept somehow, but I suppose that's a personal thing.
yeah,
A lot of people do like it.
yeah, yeah. That's quite the drama around it. We've heard that story.
The cricketers don't have a problem. Who am I to say?
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
I
well,
don't like it, but that's okay.
well, yeah. Who knows? Maybe it changes now. We've heard a couple of reports. Maybe this was the last mega auction. A couple of reports. I'm not saying it's confirmed yet, but let's not dwell too much into it. What we have now, right now, is the final list of the players who were retained. And the ones who weren't, and there were quite a lot of them. We talked about them when we talked about each of these teams. Which other players do you think the two new franchisees are desperately going to eye? The ones that they're just going to close their eyes,
Rahul
not
and
have
Rashid, we
any
decided.
discussions around. Yeah, yeah,
Rahul and Rashid, we discussed.
yeah,
These are obvious options. I
yeah,
think we may see some frantic bidding over, not bidding, it will be drafts. So, Roy and Besto.
yeah. Good openers, good openers, established openers in the format.
Stokes, they'll probably want to see how his. Stokes' fitness, Stokes' availability has been a concern. They may not want to invest in Stokes. They may want to. Stokes will be a risk. But Roy and Besto are good options, particularly Besto given his second role.
Yeah,
So these are two options. Gill, despite his slightly below par strike rate, may be a decent pick. I won't be surprised if one of the franchisees want Gill as captain
yeah,
or vice
yeah.
captain, maybe
We've heard
captain.
those talks that and that's why the talk around Gill and KKR were more that KKR maybe wanted to groom him. Brendan McCullum entrusted him with the leadership position going forward, and maybe some other franchisee would want to capitalize on that. Who knows? But
Ishan
also
Kishan,
Ishan Kishan.
yes,
Yeah, we come at the point at the same time. There's a player who in the last 1 year or so has shown that it doesn't
Ahmedabad
matter who's
captain.
bowling. Oh, oh, we'll have some derby. If Ishan Kishan is the Ahmedabad captain, and for say the
Yeah,
Pandya brothers come into picture, and then they're facing Mumbai
he's
Indians, that'll be a nice
a
fixture.
former India under 19 captain. Let's not forget that.
Oh yes, 2016, the batch of 2016, the elusive batch of 2016,
So
and
if
yeah, that'll be
we
exciting.
know that he's a guaranteed selection. He's an explosive batter. He can
Yeah,
keep wickets. He has
yeah,
led an Indian side before in an ICC tournament.
yeah.
Why not? He's a long-term investment. Long-term
A
investment.
lot of boxes ticked there, as you said,
Yeah, yeah.
and yes, if
I
any of
won't
the
be surprised
franchisee
if Ishan
scouts,
Kishan, if he gets to lead an IPL side somewhere, And when that happens, just run this clip.
Producer Utkarsh saying, "Yay, we got the snippet out of it."
Okay,
And yes,
the others I can see are Harshal
yeah,
and Avesh.
yeah, have had a really brilliant season, and it would be a shame if they aren't in any of the starting 11s going into next season, which I don't think would be the case. Teams would want these kind of
Nabi
players.
went a bit underutilized at Hyderabad, but he will be back. Let's see. Because
Yeah,
Nabi is an excellent pick. I don't know. I mean, he has an excellent batting strike rate. He can hit enormous sixes. We know that, and
yeah,
he almost always gives you four cheap overs.
yeah,
But Hyderabad's strategy of Rashid Khan and sometimes Roy Bairstow Williamson together,
yeah,
that forced them to keep Nabi out. And sometimes they had to pick Holder because they wanted a pacer. So Nabi
yeah.
was as good as wasted. I can see. And the interesting bit is the very low Australian count.
David Warner.
Just,
Of
yeah,
course, we know that story won't continue with Sunrisers Hyderabad.
another
We sort of
potential
knew that.
Hyderabad captain. Yeah, another potential Ahmedabad captain.
New, yeah, yeah,
The other big pick can be the Australian Test captain.
okay, that's our cue. I think that's our cue. I think this. Okay, this is a good. No, we should finish it here. It was nice. It was nice talking about all these things, Abhishek. And we'll know who the two incoming franchisees, who are the three players each that they will pick, and then we'll be here to talk about them as well, because we'll get some picture of how those franchises will shape up to, because of course those three picks are the players they would most want to build their team around before the auction, that is. So that's it. That was it from me, Rahul Pandey, and Abhishek Mukherjee as far as the IPL 20